Hello friends, welcome back to the tetrahedron chemistry classes. So guys, if you remember in the last class I have completed the Hofmann's rearrangement or Hofmann bromamide reaction. Okay, so before today I am going to discuss this Curtius rearrangement. It is actually just like your Hofmann rearrangement. Basically there are certain reactions which are given by the n substituted amides. Okay, so before going into the details of the Curtius reaction today and its various application in the field of the chemistry, we should look back what we have done in the Hofmann bromide reaction. Okay, so you see here, this was the picture. Actually I have done this much of thing. Okay, so very detailed Hofmann bromide reaction I have covered in my last lecture. Okay, this was your basic reaction where you convert primary amides into primary amines, and this was the reaction. And then after that I have discussed the mechanism. Okay, and in this mechanism you can see very beautiful thing, very beautiful thing is there, which is actually the formation of the isocyanate. Okay, and that isocyanate actually gives the compound. Okay, so now if you see the see here, this is your isocyanate, right? And again this isocyanate you will always you will also form in the Curtius reaction. Okay, but the only difference is that in case of the Hofmann bromide reaction you will not be able to isolate that isocyanate. The reason is that because you are using the alkali solution. But if you do reaction in your non-polar aprotic solvent like benzene, chloroform, diethyl ether, then what will happen? You can also isolate this isocyanate, and exactly this we actually done in which is this is exactly we do in the Curtius reaction, because in the Curtius reaction if we take the benzene or chloroform as the solvent, then we will be able to isolate this isocyanate, right, in the Curtius reaction. But in Hofmann bromide reaction this cannot be possible. Okay, while other features are same in the Curtius reaction as well as in the Hofmann bromide reaction. Okay, and then I have discussed the retention of configuration phenomenon and then discussed the various examples with you. Okay, and what kind of substrates can give Hofmann bromide reaction and what kind of substrates cannot give, this I have discussed. Then I have discussed the lots of application for this one, and then you see this one. Okay, so various application we did in the last lecture. And see guys, what I have see when after completing my video, when I was checking the video for the final upload, so I found that this particular problem actually is missed in that particular video. So there is not much to explain in this. So if you have seen this Hofmann bromide video and you have little doubt, actually sir didn't explain this thing. So here in that case, see this R group is there, right, and this is your imide. Okay, and it is undergoing Hofmann bromide reaction. So in that case you see your nucleophile, that is OH negative, it can attack here or it can attack on this carbonyl depending upon the electrophilicity. So guys, if you consider the electrophilicity of this if you consider the plus I effect of this R, right, so according to the plus I effect of this R, this would be your actually minor product, right, and that would be your major product. Okay, but if you know this actually your R can also exert, see it exert plus I effect, it also exert plus H effect, that is hyperconjugation effect. So if you consider the hyperconjugation effect, then you know this hyperconjugative effect is more operative at para position rather than your meta positions with respect to this R. So this para position actually will lose its electrophilicity. Okay, but to a greater extent. Okay, but this is not. Why? Because plus H effect of this R will be maximum at para ortho and para position, but this meta position is not actually. So when you do this one, so at that time you see the electrophilicity actually in that case would be high for this one, and your product ratio will be changed in that case. Okay, how it will change? So it will be, now this will become major and this will become minor. So this is according to actually your I can write here, this one is according to the plus I effect. Okay, and earlier one, this one is your plus H effect. So you know this plus H effect is more fundamental, so you will go in that manner. That would form the major and this will form the minor, and you can go through the reaction mechanism as well. Okay, and then you see I have completed all these things. Okay, now today I am going to discuss this Curtius reaction, and it is another very important reaction for your IIT JAM examination as well as your CSIR NET and the GATE examination, and it's a very important reaction. And Professor Curtius in 1800 and 1904, way back actually, identified a reaction which is known as the Curtius phenomenon. So what actually is what this Curtius reaction is this, right? So Curtius reaction is nothing. If you see here, if I take, say for example, I am having this azide RCON3. This is your acyl azide. Acyl azide. Why? Because this is your actually, if you see properly, this part R C double bond O, this is acyl group. If you substitute this R with the aryl group, then it would be aryl azide. Okay, so this is your acyl azide, and if you actually subject this acyl azide to heat, okay, you can do by heating, that is the thermal reaction. You can also do by shining light on it, that is the photochemical reaction. So there are two ways of doing this one. Okay, so what will happen in that case when you do this one, then it will form the isocyanate R N double bond C double bond O. This is your alkyl isocyanate. This is your alkyl isocyanate. Okay, so this is nothing but the Curtius reaction. This simply is the Curtius reaction, but see, as such this Curtius reaction is not very important, but it gives the immense application in your synthetic organic chemistry, because with the help of this Curtius reaction we can synthesize the various classes of the compound. We can synthesize the amines, we can synthesize the carbamides, we can synthesize the substituted urea, we can synthesize the variety of the natural product by the application of this Curtius reaction. So today we will see the Curtius reaction. So before going into the reaction, I want to tell you what is the Curtius reaction. Curtius reaction is the thermal or the photochemical rearrangement of the acyl azide or your aryl azide, okay, in to the alkyl isocyanate when non-aqueous or non-aqueous aprotic solvent has been taken. So in that case your solvent, please remember this particular point, it is very important. For this reaction you will take the solvents, either benzene you can take, it is a non-polar, as well as aprotic. You can take chloroform, it is slightly polar but it is aprotic, sometimes it can also be taken, or you can take your diethyl ether. So these are the solvents. When you take these solvents, then you will be able to isolate this alkyl isocyanate. Okay, so Curtius reaction is the conversion of your azide into the alkyl isocyanate in the non-polar solvents by thermal or the photochemical reaction. Okay, so now we can quickly see some of the reactions and we will see the trick how we can identify the product also. Say you have been given this species, okay, right, this is Br here and this is your double bond O. So this is your acyl bromide, okay, and when this acyl bromide, first if it reacts with your sodium azide, and after sodium azide what you do the hydrolysis of this one and subjected the system with heat, so you will have this product NH2, okay, simply. So what actually you are doing, what is the trick in that case? Trick is quite simple guys. What you are doing here, simply you are replacing this COBr group with NH2 group. So this is the trick. If you have the simplest kind of the Curtius reaction where your hydrolysis part is also given, you simply what you will do, you will replace this your COBr or COX part with the NH2 part to get the product. So keeping in mind what is the concept actually to identify the product, we can quickly see a few more reaction. Say your second reaction says like that. right? This is your 3-membered ring, this is this one, and one chlorine is here, okay. And of course, you know, this part is also having hydrogen, and if you are doing the reaction in under the same condition which you have taken in the first reaction, simply what you will do actually, right, in that case again what you will do, you will replace that part with the NH2 to get the product. So your product would be nothing but this one, NH2 and your H. So these are the this is the trick by which you can get your product actually, right? This is something very, very important. Now you see what kind of applications this reaction can have, and what would be the mechanism of this one. So mechanism is quite important. So first of all, you will see the Curtius rearrangement. What is Curtius rearrangement? Exact Curtius rearrangement I am going to explain to you. So say for example, you have taken this R C double bond O N3, this is your acyl azide, okay. And you know this acyl azide, if you want to write the correct structure to understand the mechanism properly, so you can write it as N single bond N triple bond N, okay. This is the picture. This will have a 1 lone pair over there, and this is electron deficient because nitrogen is tetravalent now, and you know it is normally trivalent. So when it becomes a tetravalent, so it will lose the electrons, so that gets a positive formal charge over there, and this nitrogen will have 2 lone pairs over there. Why 2 lone pairs? Because in the normal trivalent species, nitrogen is having 1 lone pair, but it is divalent, so it is having your 2 lone pairs. Due to this these 2 lone pairs, this will get the negative charge over there, and this oxygen is having the 2 lone pairs, you know, okay. And see, if you do the reaction, right, if you heat this system, what will happen? The Curtius rearrangement would occur. So what will happen in the Curtius rearrangement? That part, right, which is your alkyl part, along with its electron pair, okay, it will attach to this one, okay, and this electron will move to the this between carbon nitrogen bond, and this will go up, and simultaneously this electron pair which is in between the nitrogen atom will go to the nitrogen which is positively charged, and nitrogen will be removed from here. So once the nitrogen will be removed from here, you will get your product, and that product would be your isocyanate. So your product would be R, sorry, not C, that would be N double bond C double bond O, of course 2 lone pair over there and 1 lone pair over there. So what actually you have done in that case, this you have shifted from here to here, that means nitrogen single bond alkyl group would be there. So this is alkyl group, nitrogen, in between them the single bond, okay. And you see this will come here, okay, this is double bond now. So this is you see double, and this will go up, right, and when the reverse reaction would occur, then it will give you the isocyanate, okay. So this is how you can do the reaction in that case, okay. So this actually you can skip also, because I have shown in that manner, because it is resonance stabilized also, that's why I have drawn this one. Otherwise there is no importance of moving this electron pair, okay. You simply do this one. So when this is the Curtius rearrangement, okay, and this Curtius rearrangement, this step actually where you are removing this thermally removing this nitrogen, it is actually your rate determining step. It's a slow step, it's a rate determining step, okay. And remember this Curtius step, and in the Curtius rearrangement, this RDS, rate determining step, is actually the concerted step, like your Hofmann bromide reaction. What it indicates? That it indicates simply if any kinds of the stereochemistry is associated with this R group or with the aryl group, it would be retained during the migration, just like your Hofmann bromamide reaction. So retention of configuration would also occur in case of the Curtius reaction. So this is simply your Curtius reaction, something very, very important. Now what you can do, if you have this isocyanate, say for example, again I am writing this isocyanate here, this is R double bond O double bond C double bond O, two lone pairs are there. So variety of the reaction you can do here. You can simply react this isocyanate with water, and when you do this, so you will have RNH COOH, right? And if you heat this, so during heating your carbon dioxide would remove from here, this part will remove from here, okay, and then you will get RNH2. Primary amine you will get, just like your Hofmann bromide reaction. But if you do the same reaction with alcohol, say R dash OH I am taking, okay, so it will give you the carbamate, which is RNH C double bond O O R dash. So this is carbamate, this is carbamate. And if you do the same reaction with other reagents, say you are taking the amine in that case, so it will form the urea, especially the substituted urea. The product would look like NH C double bond O and your NH R dash. It is your substituted urea, substituted urea. Okay, urea, you know what is urea? Urea is NH2 C double bond O NH2. Okay, if you substitute one of the hydrogen from here, one of the hydrogen from here, then it will give you the substituted urea. And you know this hydrogen is substituted with R here, and on the right hand side it is substituted with the R dash. So it's a substituted urea. So variety of the reaction you can do by this Curtius rearrangement. It has immense applications, right? So if you don't know actually how these reactions are happening and how actually we can form the product, don't worry about that. I am solving a number of problems based on this, and those problems, if you see properly, if you go through properly those reactions, and you memorize and you learn the tricks and right, and the mechanism of the reaction, then you will never find a difficulty in identifying the product of the Curtius reaction and the mechanism of the overall reaction. Okay, so what mechanism we can check here? Say mechanism I am writing here, how it will go. Mechanism. Okay, so for mechanism, see, isocyanate during the Curtius reaction you have already formed. So I am not going to form that isocyanate again and again. This is formed by the Curtius reaction. Double bond C, double bond O. Now if you recall your Hofmann bromide reaction, say you are taking your R dash OH in that case. So your oxygen is having the two lone pairs, and you know it will attack on this carbon and carbon, and this electron pair will shift over there, and then you will have here this species R single bond nitrogen, double bond carbon, single bond oxygen with three lone pairs now, because one electron pair it is getting through the mesomeric effect. Okay, and you see sorry, electromeric effect, not mesomeric. Okay, and this oxygen would bonded now in that case. This is your hydrogen, and this was your R of the alcohol, and this would be now positively charged. Why positively charged? Because this oxygen actually has used one of its lone pair in the formation of the bond. So this oxygen is actually your electron deficient. That's why one positive formal charge is over there. Okay, now if you see again, if you do the reaction again, say for example this one. Okay, so what will happen? See, this will shift here, and that electron pair will go there, and this electron pair which actually is coming after this movement, this will grab the proton. Okay, and this electron pair will be shifted on the oxygen. So what actually in that case is happening, this hydrogen actually is shifting to this one, but the exact way of showing mechanism is what? Electrons are moving. You cannot see, you cannot draw the arrow in that manner. It is quite wrong. See, if you draw this in that manner, so this is actually wrong. This cannot be done. Okay, this should not be done. However, I have seen some of the people do this kind of thing also in their mechanism, but this is not good. This is wrong, because electrons are always moving, and these electrons are grabbing your hydrogen. Okay, so what product you will have? R is already there. Nitrogen, now you will have this hydrogen along with this one, and this is now singly bonded, and this would be your OR dash double bond O. So this species, as you have seen in the last reaction, it is nothing but it is the carbamate. Okay, so this is your carbamate. See, focus on this one. This is carbamate, and if you go back, you see this is carbamate. R NHCOO dash. In the next reaction, you see R NHCOO dash. It is carbamate. So this the mechanism is quite simple, right? But remember, Curtius reaction is actually the conversion of the azide into the isocyanate, not the overall reaction. Okay, similarly guys, you can take another, you can do the another kinds of the reaction. Say for example, okay, see this, you have this much you have done, so I am changing this one. Say now I am converting this. Okay, I am removing this one. Okay, and removing all these things. So there is no need, so this is useless to draw the things again and again. Here I am taking, say, amine, RNH2. Okay, so this is having the lone pair. Same thing would happen again here. This lone pair actually will go to this carbon. This will shift here. Okay, and when this will shift here, then your species, this species would be what? Nitrogen along with the positive charge. Okay, and one hydrogen is here, and another hydrogen is here, and this is your R dash. If it is R dash. Okay, if it is R dash. So this is how you can draw. Again, what will happen in the next step, you see here, see this will come here and this will go there. This electron pair will grab this hydrogen. Okay, and then you will have your product. What product you will have in that case? R NH single bond carbon having N. Okay, and after that H, R dash already there, and this would be your double bond. Okay, but remember one thing, this will go there. Okay, when it will grab this hydrogen. So this you see, this is what the urea is, what? NH2, C double bond O NH2. This is urea, and this moiety is there, C double bond O NH NH. One of the hydrogens are actually substituted here. So this is substituted urea. Substituted urea. So this is how you can draw the variety of the reactions with the help of the Curtius rearrangement. Okay, now say for example, I can give you the one more example which is quite important. Say my example is, okay, this one. Say you have been given acetic acid CH3COOH, and in this acetic acid you have been given your reagents, and say your first reagent is DPPA. Okay, and you are also heating the system, and generally this DPPA is taken with the actually triethylamine. Okay, but this is not given here. And second, in the second step you are having, say, your alcohol. So what product you will have here? So before going into the detail of this one, you should know what is DPPA. DPPA is your diphenyl phosphoryl azide. So DPPA is your diphenyl phosphoryl azide, and this DPPA is readily used to convert your acid or your acid derivatives like ester, your acid halides, all these things. This DPPA converts that acid or acid derivatives into the azide. Okay, so what should be the formula for this one? So you know, this is phosphorus, and you put double bond oxygen over there. Since it is azide, so you can write N3 here, and diphenyl is there, so O, this one, and this species is your, sorry, this species, it's a 6-member ring, it's a benzene. Okay, so this species is your DPPA, diphenyl phosphoryl azide. So basically it is what? It is nothing but it is your substituted phosphate, right, in which actually you have substituted one oxygen with this N3 and 2 oxygen with this one OPH3. Okay, So this is phosphoryl, and this species is readily used to convert your acid and acid derivatives into the azides. So if you have given this thing, how you can go for the reaction mechanism? So it's quite simple here, guys. Say you simply do the write DPPA here, diphenyl phosphoryl azide, okay, and when you do the diphenyl phosphoryl azide, you simply convert your CH3 C double bond O N3, that is azide, and azide, you know, you can write azide in that manner, right? N here. Okay guys, so I have to stop at that particular point because see, kids are actually shouting over there, so there was a problem in the noise. So again, see, since I am shooting this video in my residence only, so lots of kids are there and they are shouting and they are playing everywhere, so you may hear some of the noise. Please bear this, okay? So right, so if now again I'm going back to this one. You have taken this acid and you are doing this reaction with your DPPA, then DPPA will convert acid into the azide. This was the reaction, and in the azide, you know, this would have two lone pairs with negative and this would be positively charged, okay? Now what will happen in the next step? Next step is actually your Curtius reaction, Curtius rearrangement, okay? So I am writing Cr for the Curtius rearrangement, okay? You are heating, simply your nitrogen will remove along with the migration from carbon to nitrogen to C2N terminal, and again it is, see, this will move from here as a negatively charged species, okay? That means it is an anion, anisotropic shift you may call it as, okay? And this will then come here and this will go there, okay? So minus N2 you have removed from here. What you have done, you have taken this CH3 and you have connected this with N, and now this will become double and this is what? Methyl isocyanate, and you must know what is this methyl isocyanate is. This is methyl isocyanate. You know the Bhopal gas tragedy which took place on 2nd of December 1984. This poisonous gas has been released in that case, methyl isocyanate, okay? And once you see, this is actually Curtius rearrangement, okay? Now after Curtius rearrangement you can have your alcohol. So you have been given this alcohol here. This is CH3, this is OH, okay? And again the same thing would happen. This will go there, this will come here, and then you will have your another species, and that species would be CH3 N double bond C single bond O negative, and this will have O, H is there and CH3 is here. It is now positively charged because oxygen has used one of its lone pair in the formation of the bond, okay? And ultimately what will happen in that case, this will come back here, this will go there. One lone pair it is already having, second is coming by this movement of the electron, and this will grab this proton, this will go up, and then you will have your product. So what product you will have in that case? Your product would be CH3 NH, okay? And after that CH3NH, what you can have? You can have your carbon, you can have your double bond oxygen, and then you are having OCH3. This is your carbamate. So this would be the product in that case. So see how easy these reactions are, but you should know these things, okay? So one may ask, what is the driving force of the Curtius reaction? Why this Curtius reaction is happening? So the only reason is that in this Curtius reaction you are forming this nitrogen gas, and this nitrogen gas actually increases the entropy of the system. So when entropy increases, the reaction goes spontaneously. So this change, entropy change actually, right, removal of this nitrogen as the gas is the driving force, okay? This is something very, very important which you should know. And one may argue that actually why this azide which is N3 is actually converting into this isocyanate, okay, this is according to the entropy change, okay? This is something very, very important which you should know, okay? So there are various kinds of the reaction by which you can understand these phenomena. Say one or two reactions I'll do for you again. Say next reaction you have been given, say in that manner, say identify the product in that case, and you have been given CH3 C double bond O Br, Okay, so this is your acetyl bromide, and the reagents which you have been given in that case, say one, it is giving the sodium azide. Okay, it is not giving the DBPA in that case, it is giving the sodium azide, and you are heating the system again. Okay, and then you have been given methylamine. So now it's quite easy. In that case, it is again quite easy. So if you do the reaction with this azide, NaN3, okay, sodium azide is what? Na positive, N3 negative. So what you will do, you will have your azide CH3, C double bond O, N with negative charge over there, and N triple bond N with positive over there. Okay, now since you are heating the system, okay, so what will happen? The Curtius rearrangement. So here Curtius rearrangement would occur. So this will move here, this will come there, and this will go there. So again you are going to form isocyanate. So nitrogen would remove from here, and you will form the isocyanate. Isocyanate, you know, CH3 N double bond C double bond O, right? This is isocyanate. So what actually you are doing in that case, you simply linking your alkyl group with the nitrogen single bond, and this will become double, this will become double. Okay, now it's quite easy. See, if you what next species? Next species you are having your CH3NH2. Okay, so when you have this CH3NH2, so again the same reaction would happen. This will go there, this will come here, and then you will have your another species, that would be your CH3, okay, N double bond C single bond O with negative. This is nitrogen, this is hydrogen, this is hydrogen. One of the CH3 is over there. Okay, this would be positively charged, and in the end this will come here, this will go there. One lone pair it is already having, one it is coming by the shifting. So this will grab this hydrogen, this will leave here. Okay, and you will have your product, and your product would be CH3, your NH single bond carbon double bond oxygen, your NH CH3. So you are having this substituted urea, in that case you are producing. Okay, so there are variety of the reactions which you can do. Okay, so there are various reaction in that case. Say we can quickly go one or two more examples, or in fact a few more examples to understand the things completely. Say you are having in that case what say you have been given this species. Identify the product again, right? You have to identify the product again in that case. So you have been given CH3, CH2, C double bond O, OH, right? This propanoic acid is given to you, and in this propanoic acid you have been given certain reagents. Say first reagent is your NH2NH2. So see, you are not you have not given your DPPA in that case, you have not given your sodium azide in that case, but you have been given hydrazine, N2H4 hydrazine molecule. And after hydrazine, what you are doing, say you are doing this reaction with NaNO2 and HCl. It is simply your HNO2. Okay, and you are heating the system again. And in the third instance, you have been given this water, and you are heating the system. So what product you can have in that case? So again, see guys, it's quite simple here. Since in the last step you have taken this NH2, and if you go back, okay, right, say if you go back, and you can see here for this in the Curtius rearrangement, if you take the water at the last stage and you are heating the system, you will end up with the amine. So it is quite obvious. In that case you will have the amine as the product. So how the reaction goes actually in that case? So reaction is quite simple. What you do the reaction with the hydrazine. So hydrazine you can write in that manner, NH2 dot NHH, in that manner. Okay, and what can happen? This OH, this H, they will combine, and water will remove from here, and once water will remove from here, then you will have this species CH3, CH2, C double bond O, NH and NH2. Okay, why this happens actually? You see, this nitrogen will form with bond with this carbon. So C double bond O NH, this is C double bond O NH, and NH2 is already there. So this species you are taking. Now in the next step, what you are doing, in the next step actually you are doing the reaction with HNO2. This is produced in situ. So how it is produced in situ? By taking this combination sodium nitrate and HCl. Okay. So what it can do? See, from here actually you are it will form the azide, right? So it will form the azide. But what you are doing? You are actually putting extra nitrogen here. In the azide you need the 3 nitrogen. 1 nitrogen and 2 nitrogens are already there. You are inserting 1 more nitrogen. You are converting this hydrogen derivative into the azide. Simply you are doing this one. Okay. So how you can write the azide? This is CH3. This is again CH2. This is C double bond O. Okay. And then you are having nitrogen, single bond nitrogen and triple bond nitrogen. 1 lone pair over there. Positive is here. And 2 lone pair over there. Okay, and from here you do your Curtius reaction, Curtius rearrangement. Okay, if you do the Curtius rearrangement from here, so I am writing CR, Curtius rearrangement. Okay, so what will happen? So this will move here, this will come there, and this will go there. That means nitrogen will remove from here. So once you have removed the nitrogen from here, what you have formed? You have formed the alkyl isocyanate. In that case, CH3, CH2. Single bond N, double bond C, double bond O. Okay, 1 lone pair over there, 2 lone pair over there. So you have formed this particular species, and after that you are having the water. So I am not doing the mechanism for this water again. You know, when you do the reaction with the water, you end up with the amine, and that amine would be CH3, CH2, NH2. So what important feature you are observing here? This species isocyanate. See, you have started with the acid which is having the 3 carbons. Okay, but you end up with the amine which are having the 1 carbon less than the acid. So it is actually descending the series. Loss of 1 carbon atom is taking place. Okay, you can draw the mechanism by your own. I am not going to draw the mechanism again and again. Okay, this is something very, very important. Okay, and see, these are the things which you should know about the thermal Curtius reaction. But after that you can think about your photochemical Curtius reaction also. So I can write photochemical Curtius rearrangement. CR I am writing. Okay, I am not writing full Curtius rearrangement again and again. I am writing the CR. This is my way of writing. You can do by your own also. You are in your own way actually. Okay. So what happens in the Curtius rearrangement? So under Curtius rearrangement in photochemical condition. So in photochemical condition, what will happen? Say you have been given this azide. Say CH3, C double bond O, N, single bond N, triple bond N, a positive and of course a negative over there, right? Now you are doing the reaction in the photochemical condition. That means you are shining light over there. See what will happen in that case? Your nitrogen will remove from here. Simply this nitrogen will remove from here. Nothing going to happen, and you will have CH3, C double bond O, N. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Okay. So this species, you know what this species is known as? Nitrene. Okay, and see, this is the only difference between the thermal and the photochemical reaction. You are having the nitrene. Okay, however, you should know this particular very important thing. This nitrene also readily rearranges. Nitrene rearranges to isocyanate. Okay, that means this can go there, this can come here. So you will have your CH3, single bond N, double bond C, double bond O. Okay, isocyanate again you are having alkyl isocyanate, and this with this alkyl isocyanate you can do the variety of the reaction by taking H, by taking alcohol, by taking your amine. You can do the variety of the reactions. But if you have the certain trapping agents which can trap the nitrene, so this under photochemical condition, this can also give you the various reactions of the nitrene also. Various reaction of nitrines. So if you know about the nitrines, you know the nitrene can give you the variety of the reactions, and those reactions are actually the insertion reaction, insertion between your pi bond, insertion between the sigma bond, right, and the various nucleophilic addition reactions, various kinds of the reaction can be given by the nitrene. So this is the only difference between the photochemical and the your thermal reaction. Okay, so now we will see one or two very say 2 or 3 very beautiful examples, and those examples are very important for you to understand. Okay, say see, this is the problem, right? You guys, you can see this particular problem. This problem has been asked in the CSIR net 2015, I think, in June examination, and it was in, I think, in booklet B. It is here question number 96, and it is a 4 marker question. Okay, so it is based on the Curtius rearrangement. Since you can identify here at the second step you have been given this N3, that means it is a Curtius rearrangement. See, but after Curtius rearrangement there are variety of things in this reaction. Actually this was a very difficult reaction of organic synthesis. Okay, but I'll try to explain how we can explain this particular reactions. This is something very important. So before going into the details of this one, guys, remember this point. This is something very important. This methyl, which is actually, you can see here, this is Me, this is beta. Okay, and this methyl, this is also beta, and the hydrogen which is hidden here, this is also beta. That means they all are the above the plane, and you should know this much of thing. If you see, if you know the stereochemistry of your Nor-Bornean system, then you will be able to know, okay, these are the, this is beta, this is beta, this is also beta. But for this you have to have the very clear idea about the structure of the Nor-Bornean. Okay, and I have made a video on the Nor-Bornean and its homologue, right, and its different orientations to completely understand the stereochemistry. So if you haven't seen that particular video, here is the link. You can see I'm giving you the link here at the right top right corner, and you can go through and understand the stereochemistry of this one to know to solve the such kind of the problems actually. Okay, this is the basic actually to solve this particular problem. Now see, this problem will take 10 minutes to solve, but it involves a variety of the factors. Okay, so now I'm going to solve this particular problem. See carefully actually, right? So because different textbooks and different peoples have drawn the mechanism in the different way, but I will try to give you the mechanism which is more correct actually, more close to the correct one. Okay, say, and you have been given these options also. See, this is option A, option B, option C. So you have to identify which is the correct option in that case. So actually, unfortunately, I marked all the correct. Okay, now we'll check this one. So how we can do this one? Okay, say you have been given this. See very carefully. At the end actually I will draw the stereochemistry, but right now I am not drawing the stereochemistry. This is methyl, this is methyl, and this is the carbonyl group which is having, and hydrogen is hidden here. I am not doing anything to the hydrogen. Okay, and this is connected with the acid COOH. Okay, and if you actually do the reaction with SOCl2, I can write SOCl2 here, which was your first reagent. Okay, and with the SOCl2, you know, your sulfur dioxide will remove from here and your HCl will remove from here. This is a very famous reaction in your alcohol, basic chemistry of your +2 if you have learned properly. So basically you are converting this acid into acetyl chloride. Okay, so your initial product would look like that. Okay, this is your carbon double bond oxygen, this is methyl. Okay, this part is not having anything, and that would convert into COCl. This is your acetyl halide. Okay, this is something very important. And if you go back in the previous page, so this was your first reagent, you see here. After that you are taking sodium azide. Okay, and then you are putting the sodium azide here. So I am writing my sodium azide, which is your NaN3. So this will, what you will do in that case, you will convert this acetyl part actually, right, your azide, okay, into your azide. So how you can convert this? So this is quite simple again. Draw the structure of your norbornene system, just like that. This is methyl, this is methyl, carbonyl group you are having here, okay, and then you are having your carbon, double bond oxygen, then azide. Azide is what? N, triple bond N, sorry, it should not be triple actually, okay, it is single bond, just like that, it is triple bond now. Nitrogen, this is positive, this is having 2 lone pairs, right? This is what you are having actually. Now in the next step, what you can do, now you will do the Curtius rearrangement. Here you will do the Curtius rearrangement, and you know what you will do in the Curtius rearrangement. In the Curtius rearrangement, you will move your this alkyl part to this nitrogen, okay, and this will come here, and this will go back. So minus nitrogen, N2 you are removing from here, and then you are doing your Curtius, you are making your Curtius product, and your Curtius product is nothing but you are this norbornene system, just like that, methyl, methyl, of course carbonyl is here, okay, and here in that case you are having your Curtius product. That means now see this carbonyl actually, see in the earlier case your carbonyl is having this linkage, this norbornene system, okay, but now this nitrogen will have this norbornene system because it this has shifted from here to here. So basically you link this with nitrogen now. So you can put nitrogen here, double bond carbon, double bond oxygen. So this is isocyanate, okay, this is something very, very important, very important. Now after that you see here, you can focus here, this hydrogen you have taken, you have been given two hidden hydrogens over there, okay, and you know this carbonyl group which is present here, this carbonyl is quite electron withdrawing. So due to this electron withdrawing nature, this makes these two hydrogens quite acidic in nature. So when these hydrogens are quite acidic in nature, so what can happen in that case? You have been taken the base, right? I think tertiary butoxide is given here. Let me check what is given here. So up to this point you have done, okay, methanol is also, this is the solvent which you have been given. Now you have been given this tertiary butoxide, okay. So what can happen in that case? This is the base, and when it is the base, what it will do, it will remove one of the hydrogen from here and it will form the enolate in that case. So the enolate chemistry is also there. Whenever the carbonyl carbon is there, you will always go for the enolate chemistry, okay. So how the enolate chemistry will do the wonder here. Say this will grab one of the hydrogen and this electron pair will come here and this will go there. So enolate chemistry you are doing here. So in the enolate chemistry, what you can do, you can draw the structure in that manner, just like that, okay. This is methyl, this is methyl, this is your C double bond O, okay. That part you will not touch, N double bond C and double bond O, okay, and this is double bond now, and what you do, you can remove one of the bond from here and put negative over there. Why? Because when this double bond is shifting here, it has shifted here, so you make this enolate ion. So this is something very, very important. The enolate chemistry is always very, very important, okay. This is enolate ion. Now in that case, what can happen? Enolate chemistry is quite interesting in that case. Again, you see here what will happen. This electron pair will come here and that electron pair will come here, and this now having the electron pair, and this will attack on this carbon. So when this will attack on this carbon, so what will happen in that case? Okay, this will attack, so this will go up actually, right? This will come here in that way, okay, and you will form a lactam here. You will form a lactam here. So how we can form the lactam? For the formation of the lactam, what you do, you write this your lactam part as such, sorry, norbornene part as such. You put this methyl here, this methyl here, okay, and this was your double bond, and this was your nitrogen, double bond carbon, double bond oxygen, okay, not double bond oxygen, sorry, single bond oxygen, negative, because you have shifted because you have shifted one of the electron from here to here. Okay, and finally this will form bond with this one, just like that. Okay, and after that you see this is this part, actually you are you have formed this particular part. Okay, and after that what can happen in that case, what you can clearly see, you have been given the acidic medium. In that case you have been given the acidic medium. Okay, acidic medium, let me check whether it is given or not. Okay, see guys, here acid is given here. Okay, so when acid is given here, you can do the reaction. How the reaction goes, this will come here and this electron pair will come here, and that electron pair will grab this hydrogen to completely form your lactam. So lactam, now you will form the lactam here. Again I am drawing the structure. It is good for my practice also. Yes, like that. This is your nitrogen, now having the hydrogen. Okay, and your carbon double bond oxygen, and this have formed bond here, and this is double bond oxygen. This is a lactam. Okay, now up to this point there is no problem. Okay, but after that what we will do in that case? Okay, say you have been given the acidic medium throughout. Say if you have been given acidic medium, I can write H positive over there, and this having the two lone pairs. So this lone pair can grab this one. So when you grab this one, what will happen? This species would become just like that. I am writing this again. So I am writing this as, if you have understood this thing, so say this is H, this is positively charged. Okay, so due to this positive charge, what will happen? The electrophilic nature of this one will, in this carbonyl, will increase. Okay, and when electrophilic nature will increase, and you have taken acid in that case, and protons you have already attached there, then you are having the water molecule. So I am writing the water molecule here again for you, and this water molecule having two lone pairs over there, this will attack on this carbonyl carbon. Okay, and this will go up. So what your next thing is? Okay, what your next thing is? So I am drawing your next thing here, and your next thing would look like in this manner. Sorry, this is your norbornene part, methyl. Okay, and this is having your NH and your carbon double bond oxygen, and this is linked with this one. Okay, and this is now having the OH and your OH2, which is positively charged. Okay, why is this positively charged? Because this water is attacked here. Okay, and after that, if you do the various kinds of the rearrangement and various periodic workups, so after those workups, what you can do? You can remove two of the protons from here, one proton from here, H positive. Okay, just like that, and one proton from here, and this will come back to here. So basically you convert this into acid. Actually you are converting this into acid part. This is something very, very important which you should know. Okay, so how you can do the reaction in that case? Say what will happen? Say I can draw it little more clearly. I can draw. I can write my hydrogen here, and this is single bond. Okay, and what will happen in that case? This will come here, and one of the hydrogen you will remove from here. Okay, so that means this part will convert into your acid. Okay, and when this will come here, actually focus here, when this will come here, so this would be double bond now. So valency 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, fifth valency would be there. That means we have to break one bond, so we will break this bond here, and the electron density will get shifted from here to here. So see carefully again. See, when actually you remove this hydrogen from here, so this electron pair will move here. So this is double bond now. So carbon, double bond oxygen, that is valency 2, this is valency 3, this valency 4, this valency 5. So we have to keep it, keep the valency 4. So we will break this bond and it will shift here. So it will form the anion here. Okay, and when it will how actually the structure would look like for this structure would look like now in that case. Say earlier you were having this carbon double bond oxygen, and then you are having NH over there. Okay, and after that you were having this connection here. Okay, and after this connection you are having this Nor-Brogdon system. Okay, and that no it is not like that, very sorry. See, these actually these things actually demands very high practice actually. Okay, so I'm drawing this in my own way. So this has shifted here, this has shifted here, this has shifted like just like that. Okay, in that manner. Okay, this is having your methyl part, this is also having your methyl part, and that part is connected with the nitrogen, and a negative is over there. Now see carefully here. See, when this bond is removed from here along, see when this bond is moved here, so this has gone now. Okay, when this has gone now, and whatever the acid which you have produced here, COOH, which this will move here. And now the stereochemistry is important in that case. I have already told you this methyl is actually beta, this methyl is also beta. So when this COOH bond is this bond is breaking and this acid part is coming here, obviously that acid part actually, right, that acid part will go to the alpha position. So I am writing my acid here, COOH. So this is something very, very important. This step is very, very important. Now if you count the total carbons here, or total size of the ring, say this was carbon number 1, say this was 2, this was 3, this was 4, this was 5. So you are having the 5-membered ring. In that case again, if this is 1, this nitrogen is 2, this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 5. So both rings are 5-membered ring. So I can write it here 5. Why? Because it is 5-membered ring, it is also a 5-membered ring. Okay, so whatever the answer which you will get in that case, it should have the 2 5-membered ring. Now if I go back to the problem, so you can see in this problem, okay, this, you know, this option C is having this option A is having, this is 5-membered ring, this is 4-membered ring. So this cannot be your answer, because in the intermediate we have formed the 2 5-membered rings. Similarly, this is 5-membered ring, this is 4-membered ring, this cannot be the answer. You know, this is 5-membered ring, this is also 5-membered ring, this is also 5-membered ring, this is also 5-membered ring. So C, either C or D could be your answer. So let's see what we can conclude actually. Okay, so if you understood this much of thing, I need some space, so I am removing some part from here. You can take the screenshot up to this point. Okay, I hope you have taken the screenshot. So I am removing this from here. So this part I have removed. Okay, and now you see here I have 2 5-membered rings, so I can draw this little more clearly or little more beautifully. So I am drawing this 2 5-membered ring. So one 5-membered ring is just like that, and another 5-membered ring I can put in that manner. But you know, in the left hand side you see this is the connection. See this bond is the fusion bond 1 and 5. Okay, this 1 and 5 is having the fusion bond, and this one bond is having methyl up. So what you can do, you can quickly draw the methyl here. Okay, and now you see here in the next step you see this methyl is up, and at this junction you are having the hidden hydrogen, which is this one actually. And this hidden hydrogen, I already told you in the model that it is beta. if you go back, I have already told you this is beta, this hydrogen is beta, which is just a trans to this methyl. Okay, so what you do, you put your hydrogen here, this is beta, and this carbon is having NH here, so you can write NH, and after that you are having this carbonyl, so you can write C double bond O. It is quite clear now. This is NH, this is NH, I have put it here, this is methyl, and this is C double, this is 5-membered ring. Okay, now this is another 5-membered ring, and in this 5-membered ring, you see at position 2, at position 2 means that means at this particular position you are having methyl up and COH down. So you can put your methyl, sorry, you can put your methyl up and your acid down. So this is actually the structure. Now match this structure with the options given, but remember here you can see this is beta, this is also beta. So you have to look for this junction methyl or fusion, methyl at the fusion bond and hydrogen in the fusion bond, whether they are given in the beta form or not. Now if you go back, so it is quite unfortunate that here it is alpha, it is also alpha, it is alpha, it is also alpha, all are alpha, that means nothing is a correct option in that case given. So for this what you have to do, you have to convert this alpha into beta, and you know whenever you are having this alpha part, and if you rotate the structure with 180 degree, then you will have your beta part. Okay, beta. So what you will do, you will rotate your molecule, you will rotate this molecule by 180 degree. So now what you do, you rotate this by 180 degree. So how you rotate the 180 degree, I can show you. Say this is the axis which is going on here, and this is rotation, you are doing 180 degree. So if you do the 180 degree rotation, this part will come here and that part will go there. That means left become right, right become left, and your alpha, your beta become alpha. Okay, so now you can write your product. This is say your 5-membered ring, this one, and another 5-membered ring, say you are having this one. Now you can quickly mark them as beta. Okay, and this is methyl, this is hydrogen, and that part will have your acid part up. Sorry, I have deleted that part. Unfortunately it clicked on this one, but don't worry, I am drawing this again. Say now you have rotated this by 180 degree, so you will have the 2 5-membered ring in that case. Okay, so this is these 2 beta. Okay, this is beta methyl and this is beta hydrogen, and after that this will become NH. Okay, and this will become C double bond O, and this acid which was beta earlier, now after 180 degree rotation it will become alpha, and methyl which was beta earlier one, after 180 degree rotation this will become alpha. So this should be the correct answer. Now check this answer whether it is given or not. Okay, you see here this part, option C, is having this COOH up, methyl down, and we are having COH up, H up, methyl down. Okay, and methyl and hydrogen up. Okay, now if I go back, so you see here these 2 up. So option C is looking the correct answer in that case. So this is how you can solve the difficult problem in that case, right? This is something very, very important. I hope you understood the thing completely. Now very quickly I will show you one more example where you can understood the reaction mechanism completely. Okay, say you have been given this species. That species is say dioxide. See, this is oxygen, dioxide type of system. This is this one, and this is the 6-membered ring. Okay, and that part is having acid, COOH, right? This you have been given, and say in that case you have been given one more thing actually, right? you have been given this kind of thing, and you are doing this reaction with DPPA, right? And you have been given this triethylamine. Okay, so this DPPA will convert this acid into the azide. So simply your structure would look like this: is oxygen, this is oxygen again, and this is 6-membered, this is another 6-membered. Okay, and that part is your alkene part, and this is your C double bond O, this is azide N, N single bond N and triple bond N. Okay, so this is positive, this is negative. This you have done. Now after that you will do the Curtius rearrangement. Okay, you are doing the Curtius rearrangement, that is CR. I am doing this one. You are heating the system, that means nitrogen will remove from here. So how nitrogen will remove? That part will join this nitrogen, this will come here, and this will go there. Okay, so what product you will have in that case? Nothing difficult in that case. Draw the structure in the usual way. Okay, and then this is your 6-membered, and after that you are having this alkene part, and now connect this with nitrogen, double bond carbon, double bond oxygen. This is your isocyanate. Okay, now you can do the reaction by your own. Say suppose you have been given, in that case, say what you have been given, say you have been given C6H5 CH2OH, this you have been given. So it's quite simple, this will go there and this will come here. Okay, and I am not doing the 2 steps because these steps you have done so much. I am writing the last product in that case, and you will find your answer in that in the problem. So this is your O, this is O again, just like that, and this is your 6-membered ring. Okay, and this is your alkene part, and this is your NH, and after NH you are having your C double bond O, and then you are having O, CH2, C6H5. Okay, so this is how you can write the product. Okay, so last there may be the various problems in that case, but I am not I cannot solve all problems in one lecture. I hope this much of thing is quite sufficient to understand the Curtius rearrangement. Okay, and the difference between the Hofmann and the Curtius rearrangement is that in the Curtius rearrangement you can isolate your isocyanate because you are taking the aprotic, non-polar aprotic solvents, while in case of your Hofmann bromide you are taking the alkyl solution with the water, so you end up with the amine in that case. Here you can also, if you do the reaction with the photochemical condition, you will find the nitrine, and nitrine can give you the variety of the reaction. Okay, so I hope you like the lecture, you understood the well things. So if you understood the things, please subscribe the tetrahedron chemistry classes and do share with your friends also. Okay, so I'll meet you again with the next type of the rearrangement, which is again the your nitrogen amide N substituted amide reaction, that is your Schmidt rearrangement. We will discuss in the next lecture. Okay guys, thank you very much.